rough week to be an Iowa basketball fan? Not so fast. Filip Rebraca is now a Hawkeye, and we'll talk to him after this.
Are you a Hawkeye fan living in Story County? Do you feel isolated, like you're alone in a maze of red? Well, you're not the only one. And that's why we here at StoryCounty.news have launched a brand new section of our website, From the Hawkeye of the Storm, which will feature our weekly podcast, Brada's Branded Thoughts, as well as other Hawkeye-related content for all you Story County residents who bleed black and gold, or if you live in Western Iowa, Eastern Iowa, or somewhere else other than Ames and you're a Hawkeye fan, we'd love your support. All of our content is free, so again, give our Facebook page a follow, give it a like, and give our Twitter page a follow as well, at From the Hawkeye on Twitter. The more likes, the more follows, the more support we get, the more content we can continue to push out, and it's all free. It's From the Hawkeye of the Storm, hosted by StoryCounty.news, for the best Hawkeye content in the area. Week 161. This is Brada's Branded Thoughts and From the Hawkeye of the Storm, and we have a very special guest and a very timely guest here on the show this afternoon. I'm joined by, and I want to make sure I get the name right, first of all. Please, Filip, can you please make sure I get the name right? Yeah, pronounce your last name for us.
Rebraca.
Rebraca, okay. And is it Filip or Filip?
It's Filip, but in English, everyone calls me Filip. In Serbian, it's Filip, but I just go by Filip.
All right. Well, we're pleased to be joined by you. Obviously, if anybody missed the big announcement yesterday, you announced that you are committed to the Iowa Hawkeye men's basketball team, which made a lot of Hawkeye fans happy. I'm sure made you and your family happy as well. Before we kind of get into the details as to why you picked Iowa and Fran McCaffrey and coaching staff, tell us a little bit about your background. I mean, obviously, I know you're from Serbia originally. Maybe talk about your journey to the Midwest and how you got here.
Well, it all started when I was, I was still in Serbia, and I was talking with my father that I wanted to go pursue a college education when the time comes, and I wanted to be a college student and a college athlete. And in Serbia, and most of Europe, that is not a luxury we have. You either choose one or the other. So I didn't want to become a pro at 16. And that's how I went to Denver, Colorado, was my first stop. And I lived with my godfather. I lived there for 1 year, and I completed my senior year of high school. Unfortunately, I did not have any colleges interested in me. So I decided to go the prep school route and went to Massachusetts, where I was at Williston, Northampton for a year. And when I was there, we had a really good season and whatnot, but the only team that really offered me was North Dakota. So, I that was the only place I could go. And so that's with that being my only option, I decided to go there. That's how I arrived at North Dakota.
That's a fascinating story, especially given the I would think there would be such a culture shock from Serbia. I've never been to Serbia, but I'm imagining the difference between Serbia and, of course, I've been to Denver, and then you go to North Dakota. So talk a little bit about the culture shock.
It wasn't as crazy as I thought. Of course, there are a few differences, but, I kind of grew up all around the place. I'm used to a lot of different cultures. I was born in Italy. I lived in Italy and Greece. And, when I was growing up, my father played in the NBA. So I lived in Detroit and Los Angeles. So, it wasn't that crazy. It was my first time being in the Midwest when I came in came to North Dakota. But, it wasn't too crazy for me. I know English really well. So I wouldn't say I was caught too off guard.
And now your background, you have a rich history, and as far as your father and his history in the NBA, how did that sort of? Obviously, I'm sure he was a huge influence as far as decision making for trying to get to that next level. What did his career and growing up, having him in the NBA? How old were you when he retired?
I think how old was I? I think I was like 8 when he retired or something. But he's the reason I play basketball. He sparked this interest for basketball. I saw him every day and what he put in to achieve achieve what he set out to do. He was a EuroLeague MVP. He won the EuroLeague twice and a bunch of international medals, for Serbia and Yugoslavia back then. So, I understand what dedication, he had for the basketball. And I just kind of appreciated that, not so much at that time because I didn't understand it. But now looking back, I feel like I have, the greatest appreciation for what he did for the sport.
Yeah. And he really took kind of the journeyman's journey, so to speak, too. I mean, he was not a real high draft pick, so he kind of overcame the odds and had to pay his dues. And you kind of see your whole situation kind of falling in place similar to his.
I mean, yeah, he was definitely one of the first European players to make it to the NBA. First ones to be drafted and first ones to actually play there. So he was a trendsetter in that way. He overcame many barriers, at the time when a lot of NBA coaches and whatnot thought that Europeans were soft in a way. So that's a challenge he had to face. And I have my own challenges. I wouldn't compare mine to his, but I have my own similarities to him.
Yeah. And it's amazing. I mean, the trendsetter, I don't want to say it was just your father. There was so many players. I mean, think about Dirk Nowitzki and all these different players. I'm a huge Dallas Mavericks guy myself, and what Luka Doncic has done in the NBA today, and Nikola Jokic, and certainly Giannis Antetokounmpo. The NBA has changed over the years. And so, I mean, I'm assuming that's your goal. I mean, your goal is to play at the next level here in the States. I mean, what is your outlook on these next couple of years? You have 2 years of eligibility remaining if you choose to exercise those 2 years. I mean, are you even thinking that far ahead right now?
Well, my primary goal is to get my master's degree, which would take 2 years. But,
okay.
If I have an extraordinary season, if I improved, as far as, set goals that I might achieve, then I could potentially just stay 1 year. But, I'm primarily looking to stay for 2. But yes, that going to the NBA is, of course, my goal. I shoot for the stars, and if I miss, I'm sure I'm not going to miss by a lot. So, that's my end goal. But I also find the school a priority too.
That's good to hear. And a lot of U.S. born players, they look at the pro route. I mean, you're obviously your number one goal is to get the NBA, and if not, you go overseas. But in your case, I would assume that alternative option, I mean, you've already been to so many different parts of the world, playing overseas in time probably wouldn't really faze you.
No, I don't think it will. I really enjoy Europe. I traveled a lot. I lived in a lot of places. I feel comfortable back over there. So, if I don't make my primary goal of making to the NBA, I will not complain if I play somewhere in Europe.
Your dad, I was just kind of doing some research before our interview.
Mm-hmm.
He dealt with some heart issues, didn't he, throughout his career? And so how is he doing? I mean, I'm assuming he's able to manage these problems that kind of put a damper on his career. How's he doing health-wise?
He's doing great now. He had another surgery how many years ago, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I think he had heart arrhythmia, I don't know how to pronounce it, probably something like that. But yeah, it was due to too much stress around basketball. He was 20 years a professional basketball player, pushing himself to what is humanly possible, and that's a price he had to pay, but I'm glad, he's doing really well now, he still exercises normally and everything like that. So there's no troubles right now.
So is that something that you've had to have monitored given your genetic, maybe? Is it something that could be passed on?
I don't think it's passed on necessarily, but just because he had it, I check up on it every time I go to Serbia and every time I can, just to make sure. But so far, I had no issue. So I think that specific was just in his case, but just as a precautionary measure, I personally check up on, go to the doctor to check up on my heart.
It's good to hear. And you're going to be walking into a great, one of the best in the Midwest as far as hospitals and clinics, and certainly the training staff, with the men's basketball team is the best of the best in the Big Ten. So I know you talked a little bit about your recruiting process going to North Dakota, and you were kind of thrown into that situation because it was really your only option.
Yeah.
How did you kind of acclimate to the staff there? I mean, I was amazed yesterday just seeing some of the reaction from your coaches there at North Dakota. Nobody at all. I mean, I understand your situation academically and why you wanted to leave, but nobody seems to hold a grudge. Everybody just seems to love you up there. So did it just kind of match made in heaven, so to speak, once you got there?
Well, we had a coaching change after my freshman year, and
Okay.
I still kind of keep in touch with the old coach, and he's a nice guy. And then Coach Sather came in, and I felt like I really enjoyed my time playing under Paul Sather, an extraordinary coach, but not just basketball wise. I feel like he teaches you more about the mental aspect of basketball as well as maybe on court, off court stuff, and I really appreciated that. And I feel like I learned a lot under him, and I gave it my all to North Dakota. And, they saw that, they appreciated it, and they understood even with my circumstance. They said, even if you decided to transfer without this being your situation, we fully support you. You gave 3 years to this program. So they had no issues with this. I love the coaching staff there and all the fans. So, I'm just very fortunate to have have them appreciate what I've done for the university.
Yeah. Well, as far as for Hawkeye fans that may be listening to this that aren't familiar with North Dakota style basketball and their offense and whatnot, I mean, obviously we know Iowa likes to go up tempo. They like to spread the floor and have the NBA and college basketball as a whole. They like to have guys that can stretch the floor. But I mean, what differences do you see from style of play from North Dakota to Iowa?
Well, this year, we were a young team in North Dakota. There was a lot of new pieces. We lost, I think it was like 3 of our starters, and because they were seniors, and then one of our starters got hurt this year at the beginning of the year. So it was always a constant adjustment. So we put in lots of different plays, and we were adjusting to it was a dynamic season. So I can't really point my finger and put, we like to play this way. At times we played fast, at times we played slow. At times we played inside out. At times we like to attack from the outside, dribble, drive. But Iowa, when I was watching tape with the coaching staff and with Coach McCaffrey and everything, the freedom that they play with, the reads they make, it's all really exciting to watch. And I feel like it's going to be even more exciting to play in that type of offense. Everyone can make a decision and can make a play, not just for yourself, but for your teammates, and this is just something I want to be a part of. And it just seems really exciting.
Your thoughts on being able to play in Carver Hawkeye Arena with the packed house theoretically this fall?
I mean, I'm very excited. I remember my freshman year when I was in North Dakota, we were traveling throughout the area, and we got to practice in the arena.
Okay.
I don't remember why, but we just practiced in the arena. So I was just looking at it, I was like, so this is where Big Ten basketball is played. It just looked like a really, really nice place. It was really big. I bet it's super loud when it's packed.
It's a great place, and I know fans will be wilder than ever with this past year being what we lost out on. So you'll enjoy a packed house at Carver. We talked style of play, but as far as coaching staff is concerned, you mentioned Fran McCaffrey. Was he the primary guy that was recruiting you? I mean, or were you closer to Kirk Spira or Sherman Dillard or Billy Taylor? Who was primarily involved in your recruitment?
I'd say it's Coach McCaffrey and Coach Billy Taylor. I first heard from Coach Taylor, and then literally like maybe 2 or 3 days after, we set up a Zoom, and those are 2 main guys I talked to. So that's what I would say.
And so, I mean, I know Minnesota was in there at the end. What other schools, again, for people maybe that weren't following your recruitment, what other schools were in your consideration?
South Carolina, Virginia Tech, Utah, South Dakota State, Iona. You already mentioned Minnesota. Those are just some to name. I feel like I might be missing one. Georgia Tech, I think, as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
And is there any players on this team that you've already reached out to you, or that you're close to already? I mean, I know you just committed yesterday, but I mean, is there anybody on this team that you see yourself close to? And I'm assuming you don't know who you're going to be rooming with next year.
No, I don't know anything. And unfortunately, I haven't. I plan on doing that today. I know some of the guys reposted my my commitment photo, so that was exciting to see. So I haven't reached out to anyone. I'm looking to do that today with some free time. My phone was blowing up yesterday. I just muted it and turned it off. I was like, I can't do this. It was all the fans and all the support I got from them was insane. So I want to reach out to my new teammates today.
Good. And, this has been a weird week for Iowa fans, the departure of CJ Frederick, which blindsided so many people. So you committing when you did prior to the weekend, I think kind of gave Iowa fans a good outlook heading into the weekend. All right. So role on this team. I mean, you can stretch the floor. You've improved your 3-point shooting ability. I know you've talked about wanting to improve everything, but I mean, what would you say, first of all, you primarily bring to this team that's unique and that you think will translate well to the Big Ten?
I would say it would be my versatility. I feel like I said this answer so many times, but I do a little bit of everything. I rebound, I crash the glass, I can pass a little, I can potentially go in transition, I can shoot from the inside, from the mid-range, I have a back to the basket game. So that's what I bring to the table. I feel like that's, which is kind of unique for a guy to do a little bit of everything. The things I'm looking to improve mostly would be shooting. I want to get my percentages up from 3. And then my other part would be just becoming a better physical athlete. I need to put on some weight because I understand what conference we're playing in. I understand that I'm no longer going to be the top 2 biggest guys on the court, and so this is another aspect of my game that I have to improve on. So, putting a few pounds off and during this off season is going to be critical to play in the Big Ten.
And so when you get here, I mean, obviously there's a need at the 5 with Luka gone, and of course Coach McCaffrey. We may hear more movement as far as the portal is concerned. Jack Nungy's departure. I mean, I know you talked about in the process. I read quotes from you that you really felt that you fit more at the 4. Are you prepared? I mean, what's Fran's thought? What are Fran's thoughts as far as where you fit in? I mean, does he see you playing some 5 depending on what happens from here on out with the transfer portal?
No, I mean, he does, but the way he explained it was, it doesn't matter what technically number you are. If you're called a forward or center, it's about what we do. And I really bought into his vision for it. He explained that I can do a little bit of everything. At times I can be setting a screen, I could be receiving an off-ball screen, and it's kind of like a positionless basketball. I feel like everyone uses that term today, but, I really see that he believes in that. And, I'm buying into that. So I don't mind if I'm technically playing the so-called 5 position.
Good to hear. And I have one more question for you. And I looked this up, and I need you to tell me, is this accurate? I'm going to give you 3 options here and tell me if any one of these 3 makes sense. I'm going to try to say them in Serbian. Idi Sokolovi, Idi Hawkeyes, Iditi Hastrobovi, or any of those anywhere close. You try to, do you know what I'm trying to say?
I do. Go Hawks, go Hawkeyes.
Okay, so which one of those?
I would say, I don't know which one I would say. Yeah, maybe
so
the first one or the second one.
So the language. So why so? I mean, I found these 3 different translations, and again, I'm using Google Translate. But what is the Serbian language just really? I mean, is it difficult? How would you compare it to the English language? I mean, as far as difficulty to learn.
If you don't know it, you'll probably have difficulties with it. You know, it's kind of like I don't know, like kind of like German and Spanish, where there's a lot of different words that change depending on if you're speaking in the past, present, future, and regarding if you're speaking it to someone, about someone, you know, and stuff like that. So a lot of these words like kind of change letters and whatnot. So grammatically, it's kind of difficult. So that's why it's kind of hard to translate words literally.
Well, your family's going to have to realize the right way to say it because you're a Hawkeye now. So, Filip, we're really appreciative of taking the time to sit down with us this morning or this afternoon, whatever it is now. And we wish you all the best. We look forward to seeing you in a Hawkeye uniform this fall.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. This has been week 161 from the Hawkeye of the Storm and Brada's Brandon Thoughts. We'll talk to you soon.